Let's make a pillow cover with an invisible zipper today. So for this project, I'm using a 16-inch square basic pillow form. And I am also using an invisible zipper. Now the one that I have here is 20 to 22 inches long. Unfortunately, it was the only one I could find where I was at the moment. And the other ones were actually too small. So I picked this one. It's black. Again, it was the only color they had. So I'll work around this, and I'm going to show you how we're going to work around it. But I wanted to let you know the size of my zipper. And the fabric I'm using is this home decor fabric. It's a canvas fabric, and it's actually very thin. It's very soft for a canvas, but it's still home decor, still thicker than quilting cotton. So once you decide on your fabric and everything and the size of your pillow, you're going to cut your square or rectangle, whatever you have, based on the measurements of the pillow. So for example, this is 16 by 16. That's the size of the pillow. And I have two. At this point, you are going to mark the area or the side where you want the zipper to be installed. So this is a square, and there's not a direction, it's not a directional fabric. So if you have a directional fabric or anything like that, at this moment, decide where you want your zipper to go, and that is where you're going to mark. So for example, for me, I mark this as my bottom. That's where my zipper is going to go. So this is going to be the bottom, and the same for this one. So I marked both of my pieces of fabric as of where the bottom is going to be, or where the zipper, the side of the zipper. Another thing is, for home decor fabric, it tends to fray easily because of the way that it's woven. So my recommendation is that you do a zigzag stitching, at least along the bottom part or the side where you're going to add the zipper. If you can do zigzag stitching or an overlock stitch, depending on what your machine has. I did all four sides because to me, it's easier that way. Might as well, if I'm gonna do one side, I'm just do all four. And that way, I know for a fact my fabric is not going to fray and it's ready to be used. So go ahead and do that with your fabric now. So as you remember me mentioning, the zipper was too long for my project. So I decided to cut the zipper to the size of my pillow form, which is 16 inches. So here's the leftover. And I added a zipper tab to the end of my zipper to prevent my zipper pull from sliding out as I'm making the pillow cover. The next thing we're going to do is that we're going to kind of open the zipper. And what that means is that we're going to iron the zipper coils flat along the wrong side of the zipper. So where you see the zipper teeth, that is the wrong side. If you flip it and you see the zipper pull here and you don't see the zipper teeth, that's the right side. So on the wrong side, we're going to take out our iron and we're going to press it really close to the teeth so that it opens up the teeth, because they rolled in. And I know it's kind of hard to see because of the color of the zipper, but once you make it flat with the iron, you'll be able to see a little line right next to your zipper teeth. And that's where we're going to stitch. So take your iron and just, don't make it too hot, because otherwise you will melt the zipper teeth. I have mine on medium, but if you have your settings, you may want to do like synthetic setting or something like that. Now we're going to add some markings to your zipper and to your panels. So the first thing we're going to do is add a 2-inch mark from the edge towards the center on both sides of my zipper. And you're also going to mark the center. So in this case will be 8 inches. Next, you're going to do the same. You're going to mark the bottom part of your fabric or where your zipper is going to go. And you're going to mark 2 inches from each side. So right there, and I have this one right here. And the half point, which will be 8 inches. Now you're going to flip your fabric right side down and making sure the side of the markings is facing you. And you're going to take your zipper with the markings as well. And remember, the markings on your zipper are on the wrong side of the zipper, so where you see the zipper teeth. Now flip that edge over like that so that you can see the right side. And you're going to now match the markings that you made on your fabric and on your zipper. And for this, you can use either pins or you can wonder clips, whichever one you have handy. If you put a pin, don't put it too close to your marking here, because that's where you're going to start and stop stitching, and you don't want to have the pin right there where the needle is. So like in this case, I'm just going to do the same here. Now, one thing I want to make sure you do is that you need to open your zipper. Okay, so with your zipper open, your zipper pull is to your right. You can put a wonder clip or something here to keep it in place, keep it from moving, and another one on the other side. Now, using a zipper foot, you're going to stitch the zipper to the fabric, starting and stopping at those 2-inch markings, and you're going to back stitch. You're going to start stitching, back stitch, and then continue. And then when you get to the other end, you're going to do the same. You're going to back stitch and forward stitch and stop right at those markings, and stitch it very, very close to the zipper teeth. Consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you have learned something today. And here is how it looks. Now you're going to do the same with the other side. You're going to turn this way so the zipper is facing away from you, and your zipper pull here is to your left hand side. You're going to grab your fabric, the bottom marking, right side down, and the wrong side's facing you, and you're going to flip it over like that, and you're going to match your markings again. I find that for me, using clips is easier than pins, but it's a matter of preference. Okay, so we're gonna do the same. Just take it to the sewing machine, and as you saw on the previous, when I was stitching this side, I used a stiletto or an owl to make my zipper flat like that. That way I could stitch right along that little line right next to the zipper teeth. So that's important if your zipper is curling up again. And this is how it looks. Now, before you test it, before you close it and test it, go ahead and cut these little loose threads. You don't want them to get stuck on your zipper teeth since it's so close to the fabric, because we don't want any of these little threads getting attached, getting stuck on in your zipper. Now go ahead and flip it right side out or right side facing you, and if you see any other loose threads, go ahead and carefully trim it off and close it and see if it if it works. Moment of truth. Okay, yeah, perfect. You want to make sure it's even. Nice. So now you have these pieces of zipper tails loose here. Before we do anything else, open your zipper one more time. And you don't have to open it all the way, but you can open like halfway. That's important. Then you're going to take your zipper tail, the one that is not stitched, and you're going to move it away and join both squares, so front and back. Put a clip or pin or wonder clip, anything you want right there. And you're going to do the same on the other side. And now we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and you're going to stitch it from the beginning, from the edge of your pillow fabric here, all the way up to the point where you started to stitch or stopped to stitch your zipper. Get as close as you can. If there is a little bit of gap, it's okay. It's not going to be noticeable, but it is important that you get to that point as much as you can. And this is a 1/2 inch seam allowance, 3.5 millimeter stitch length, and you're going to back stitch on both ends. So you're going to back stitch when you finish. You're going to back stitch when you begin here, as well as on the other side. Now we can join both front and back using wonder clips or pins, and we are just going to stitch it, joining all three sides. You're going to stitch it at 1/2 inch seam allowance, 3.5 millimeter stitch length, and you're going to start and stop here at this corner. Going to go down. You're going to pivot, leaving your needle down. You're going to move your fabric, continue stitching, and do the same when you get to the other corner, and go all the way up until you get to the end of the side and you stop stitching right there at that corner. A quick tip to know where to stop, where's my 1/2 inch mark, is by placing your ruler at 1/2 inch away from the side of the fabric and 1/2 inch from this side, and then just draw a line. Ideally, you want to do this before you get it to the sewing machine, and that is your point right there where you're going to stop stitching and turn it to the other side. So let's do that on this end as well before we continue. So 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Okay, that is my seam allowance, and I'm just going to draw a line there and a line there, and that is my little corner where I'm going to stop stitching. So when I finished, when I'm coming here and I'm stitching my 1/2 inch seam allowance, I stop there. I leave my needle down, I pivot my fabric, and then I continue. Okay, so let's do that. Now, before we flip it, if you have pinking shears at this point, you can trim your seam allowance by half or just a little bit, and that will really help prevent any fraying of your fabric, okay? And if you zigzag the edges, I think it's fine at this point. One thing that you can do also is to make your corners look really nice and sharp. You can actually fold your fabric here and use the pinking shears and kind of cut a little V there, and that will help your fabric open up and give in when it's time to put the pillow inside. Something else you can do is completely optional, but is probably nice to do it, will be to kind of open up your seams a little bit with your iron. So you can just have your piece of fabric here, your pillowcase, your pillow cover finished, and just open the seam here and just kind of press it. This is not really a necessary step, but it will probably help when you insert your pillow form. Have the seam kind of open up. And now let's turn it right side out. And when you turn it right side out, you can start with the little corners at the end. And if you feel like it's kind of bulky, like in this case it's a little bulky, you can take your pinking shears and kind of trim it off a little bit. And that helps with the bulkiness, and the pinking shears will help prevent the fabric from fraying when you have to wash it. I'm going to press it a little bit, even though when you insert the pillow form, because this is smaller than the pillow form, it's going to get all the wrinkles out. But I don't know, I just like to do this a little, it's just personal preference. Get your pillow form in, and let's see how this worked out. Just get your pillow into the corners as much as you can before you close it. That would really help. And now let's close it. Beautiful. And you have an invisible zipper there.